Hello, how are you doing? Good evening, good evening, good evening, and a very warm welcome to 8 Till Late live on youtube.com/Wi-Fi Sheep with me, Tom. Fantastic to have your company once again. I hope you are doing well, whether you're joining me live right now here on YouTube, or if you're going to watch this back as a pre-record or post-record, I think I should say. However you're watching this, thank you so much for watching and for your company. How are you doing? Quite a bit coming up on today's programme. Quite a few things I need to talk about or want to talk about. In fact, I actually made a series of notes because I'm going to forget what I want to talk about. If you want to share any thoughts or ideas or comments during the broadcast or afterwards in the comments, then please feel free to. If you want to join us live to discuss things in the chat comments for the live stream, you do need to be a subscriber. That's just a subscriber, don't have to pay anything, but you need to be a subscriber for at least the first sort of 20 minutes or so. So we've got lots to get into, but before we do anything, do you have a need for reliable and cost-effective web hosting for your blog, business or personal website? If so, then look no further than Cheap Host UK. Cheap Host UK's basic plan starts from only 58p per month. That's £6.99 a year. And if you're needing a little bit more, Cheap Host UK's premium packages start from £1.41 per month or £16.99 a year, complete with a free .co.uk domain. New customers can also take advantage of an extra 10% discount when purchasing any first-time hosting package or domain name from Cheap Host UK. Use discount code SHEEP, that's SHEEP, to get an extra 10% off. For reliable, cost-effective web hosting and domains, look no further than Cheap Host UK. Full details and an affiliate link are in the description to this video. So yes, huge thank you to our friends at Cheap Host UK for sponsoring 8 Till Late here live on youtube.com/Wi-Fi Sheep. And as I have just said there in that little promo, you can get a further 10% off your first domain name or web hosting package with Cheap Host UK. Just use discount code SHEEP, that's SHEEP. Full details and links are in the description to this video or live stream, depending on how you're watching us. Before I go any further, I should also say huge shout out and thank you to our members and Patreons. There they all are, the brilliant and extremely kind people that continue to support me financially by backing me either as a YouTube member or over on Patreon. For Patreon, it's patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep. And you know the drill by now. There is the YouTube channel members. If you don't fancy leaving the YouTube platform, you can support me financially right here on YouTube. Base support starts from 99p all the way up to £2.99, and that will be converted into your local currency or US dollars if your local currency is not available. Here it is in British pound sterling. Thank you so much to everybody that continues to support me. It really is appreciated. I must say, it's looking a bit quiet in the chat. I don't know where everyone is this evening. Is there some football match on or something I'm missing? This is the point we figure out that I'm not actually live streaming. Oh no, I might be. It's one of those, you set the stream up and then you realise you put it as unlisted or something, so no one knows about it. And you think, oh, damn it. Anyway. Yes, welcome. How are you? Hope you're well. Amazing stream. Stream last week was amazing, and the feedback we got from doing the ZX, or starting to look at the Sinclair ZX81. I know a lot of you really enjoyed that. We're not going to do that tonight because I'm waiting on some parts, and I haven't done. Hang on, someone's pepped up. You were slightly early compared to normal. Sorry, excuse me. Andrew D from New Zealand, we welcome. I was slightly early compared to normal. No, I was on time today. I'll have you know, I was on time today. Thank you. It's not early. I wasn't late, is what I think you mean to say. Right, no. So I've ordered a couple more bits that I need, and I do need to do some CAD work for a 3D printed shell for the ZX81. As soon as I've got those bits together, we'll get right back onto that project, and we'll probably do that here live. I would say next week. We'll see where we are. As of today, I've got a few things that I do want to show you, and if you're interested, you can play along with as well. You're going to need a Raspberry Pi 3 or 4 if you want to play along. Any version of the 3 will do, and version 4 or 400 would work. So if you have a setup like next to you or something and you kind of want to play along what we're about to do, you're also going to need a blank SD card and a PC, Mac, or a machine capable of flashing an SD card. As I've been playing with something which we're going to look at here live on the stream, fingers crossed, hopefully. But also, you know, as I say, if you want to be interactive, you can play along at home or have a look at it, of course, in your own time. We'll do that in a little bit. Let me bring you up to date with some news then, what's been going on. So, first thing to say is Wi-Fi sheep, as in myself, we've not parted ways, that's the wrong word, but we have paused the ongoing sponsor arrangement with the key sponsor that usually is on all the pre-record videos. So not Cheapos UK here today, not the product sponsors. I'm talking the one who sponsors the bulk of the content we do. Martin saying 8 till late banner on the screen. Tom. Hey. Right. Okay. What's that mean? I have a feeling we maybe have some technical glitches tonight. One moment. No. Anyway, right. Assuming that message has now just disappeared, I'm assuming everyone can actually see me okay. Okay, never mind. Right. As I said, so the big news is in part of the operational changes for how this channel is going to run. We've paused the relationship with one of my key sponsors at the moment. Oh, hello to the 67. Yeah, it can see me fine. Yeah. So it's just Gertmon throwing me off. It's fine. Don't worry. It's like when you get people... When I used to do the first series of 8 till 8 we did on Twitch, and it was more kind of like a gaming type thing, which didn't really work. And you used to get people just like writing the comments, things like, oh, you sound funny. And I thought, okay, what do you mean? As in the microphone is sounding funny, or is it just the way I talk you don't like? You know, it's, you know, like that. Not helpful. I think I mentioned this before. All they wanted me to do, it's 12-year-olds, all they wanted me to do is play Fortnite. And I thought, that's not what we're doing. So that's why that ended on Twitch. And when I restarted, came over here to YouTube to run on the main YouTube channel, which kind of makes more sense. But yeah. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah, so basically those of you that saw episode, I want to say it was like 17 or something. It was one episode we did over Christmas that's for members and Patreon backers only. I explained in more detail about what was going on behind the scenes operationally. And yeah, so I've had to sort of juggle some sponsors around. Basically, because I don't have the time I had because I now have a full-time job. So I can't... Well, the kind of content I want to kind of pivot to wasn't compatible with my sponsor arrangement that I had at the time. So we've not parted ways, that's the wrong word, but we have paused operations for the time being. So we're still very much talking to each other. Sounds like a divorce, doesn't it? And everything is on very amicable terms, and we just won't be appearing as messages for the time being on future content. What else? Oh yes, I've had some initial dates for Cambridge, the Centre for Computer History's Retro Festival, which I didn't go to last year, and I know some of you were quite disappointed that I wasn't there, but I just started this new job and it didn't really work. They're having two. They're having one in April and they're having a big one in November. I haven't had official discussions yet. But I'd like to do the November one because that's the more general show. The April one is always the nicer, smaller event, but it is generally themed. And I don't know if I've got enough stuff to kind of fit in with the theme this year. So I haven't made my decision. I would like to be at least one of the shows this year if I can. If I can, it'd be great. Look, I'm so early. I got my cup of tea on as well, which is awesome. Other thing I want to share with you is some of you might have been aware that I took over what was left of the Stafford Raspberry Pi Jam event, which couldn't use the word Pi Jam, so I had to switch to Makerfest, and it closed last summer. Myself and a colleague from Harper Adams University took it over, and we moved the event with the blessing of the former organiser to the university, and we ran last year 2 trial events just with staff and students to see how well it worked, and it worked relatively well. So we've got one coming up where are we? Yes, next week actually. So we've got one on the 15th, I think it is. 15th of February, and for the very first time it's open to the public to join. So it's kind of operated by me at an evening, so it's 1800 hours GMT till about, we'd say 9 o'clock, but normally we're done by about 8:30. It's at Harper Adams University in Newport, Edgemond, Shropshire, England. The details are on our Facebook group. It's completely free, by the way. Just have to book a ticket. Let me show you the big blank screen where something used to live. That's good, isn't it? Right. I swear to God that was working. There we go. Hey, right. If you just search HarperNet on Facebook, it is a Facebook group for which you don't actually, if I'm right in thinking, you don't actually have to be a member. So I'm not logged in, and you can find, so you can just visit it. You don't have to have a Facebook account. And I have an Eventbrite link. So if you would like to register a ticket, tickets are free. You are more than welcome to come along. It's in the engineering building. There's actually a map which shows you, here's the main road between Newport and Shrewsbury. That's South Campus. This is North Campus, and we're all the way up here. We're in this building right here, and we have a designated car park for ourselves. And if we get really busy, which we won't, but if we get really busy, we even have an allocated overflow car park. So we've got on-site parking right next to the venue. We're in the labs, so we've got workbenches, power supply, so people can even bring along things if they want to show. It's a very informal event. It's not a sit-down lecture or anything. It's literally a chat, and people just like show. You can mix with students and former members of the Stafford Raspberry Pi Jam. We have staff from the uni as well, and of course you've got me running it. So it's completely free. If you are in the sort of local area, would like to come along, you are more than welcome. There is the details. Just search HarperNet from Facebook, or you can search Facebook HarperNet just in Google, and you'll get the link. And there you'll find you can register, and registration is free. So that's that. Let's talk a little bit about news. This is me going on another Raspberry Pi rant, by the way, so warnings. I just want to talk about this quick. So Raspberry Pi have officially announced that they're making preparations to float on the London Stock Exchange. Not a lot of people are very happy about that. There's a fantastic article which I think sums it up, which I'd just like to share with you. Let's just see. It's on Hackaday. Will there be any Pi left for us? And this is a superb article. Well worth a read. Let me just see if I can. It's always a pain to dump the... let's just see if I can copy. It's always a pain to dump the URLs. There you go. So it's in the chat now if you want to read it for yourself. yeah, really good article, which I think kind of picks up on the vibe which other YouTubers have talked about. Which is, yes, they're floating the stock exchange, but there's concerns about, what that means, and if they're just going to sort of boot out the hobbyist, as they've already prioritised commercial companies and makers over hobbyists. I didn't also realise until this week, some of you are commenting about not being able to get hold of Raspberry Pis, and I didn't really see what the problem was until I did a search and realised that outside the UK you can't get hold of stock, can you? It's got very short supply again. Here in the UK it seems all right, but people are complaining about the prices have gone up of stuff, and also availability is poor once again. And it just kind of boils down to what I was saying last time we ranted about it, which was when the Pi 5 came out, that the Pi 5 missed the mark completely as far as I was concerned. Yes, I bought one. You know that. We reviewed it on the channel. But, disappointing, Pi 5. And now they're floating on a stock exchange. They want to bring private investors in. It's interesting that one thing I wanted to check, actually. You love these kind of snowstorm disaster stories that you get. Just bear with me. You don't know what I'm talking about. I'm switched the angle. There we go. It was Martin. It was Martin that was throwing me off. Sorry, Gertmon, if you join us later. Cheers for that, Martin. Cheers for that, yeah. Right, what was I doing? Yeah, let's just go to Raspberry Pi. And it's dot foundation. Right. Oh, it's gone a little more friendly. It went very dark IBM corporate at one point. But that's an argument for another day. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is, do they still want? They still got that donate thing, which really, really gets me. Right. Why do they need donations? They don't need donations. This company, and people say, oh, right, a foundation is different to commercial hold. It doesn't matter. It's basically one of the same thing. The foundation is just holding the charitable status certificate, if you like. And the thing is, it's like, why do you need donations when you're turning over how many million? And you've got all these big tech financial backers, things like Microsoft and ARM and all the others kind of pumping cash in. That's always slightly got me. Now, if we go over to the point I was trying to make is raspberrypi.com. Here we go. You know what? I think they've slightly reskinned this, because I seem to remember when they changed this over, it all went very sort of corporate IBM. And they've sort of put this back. So basically, this is the private holdings company. So this is the bit that's actually floating or attempting to float on the stock market. One thing I will notice, you see the download options for the operating systems. You used to get, right, and I'm going back a little bit now. You used to get multiple downloads, that they used to support multiple downloads, and now it's pretty much, unless I'm missing where it is, it's pretty much just their operating system. And this is the thing also it got me about them, was this kind of, what's the word? Lost my train of thought now. It's kind of, you will use our stuff only. And I found this with going back to the HarperNet thing. We talked about the idea of we talked about the idea about because you can still run pie jams effectively if you kind of sign with the devil and sign your commercial rights over to them kind of thing. But you have to basically, it's no longer about hobbyists. It's no longer a community event for hobbyists. It's a bit like a Tupperware party. Do you remember Tupperware parties or Avon makeup parties where you had your sales rep come around and all that kind of stuff? It kind of works like that now, but you become sales reps running a party or event on behalf of the company, in which case you kind of have to, basically, you're not allowed to kind of use unofficial software or hacked things or, dare I say it, rival products. How dare you use rival products? It's kind of, you don't have the creative freedom anymore. And that's why we kind of decided we weren't going down that road, you know. Yeah, so yeah. I kind of had my argument about this all thought out, and now I've lost my train of thought. But yeah, so basically the crux of the story here is that if they're going to float on the stock exchange, it will be for profits. There'll be shareholders, there'll be people wanting returns, dividends, you name it, that kind of thing. It will no longer be, well, it hasn't been about the make a build community for some time, but it will no longer be about us as a community of builders, wherever we happen to be in the world. It will be about pacifying shareholders, making profits, and monetizing. So, yeah, which is a shame, because I think there was something in that article again. Let's go back to it. It talks about the Raspberry Pi operating system and support, which, yeah, I've got it. That is a given. That as for all the single board computers, and there's a lot on the market, and you know I talk about a lot on a regular basis. Basically, the Raspberry Pi do very good support. The operating systems generally do work very, very well, especially the official ones. But yeah, I think we're in a very different place now, and it's no longer, I said, about the community, or it's no longer about us, which is a real shame, because Raspberry Pi, it has been a really, really kind of, it's been a magical kind of like 10, 12 years, really. It's been amazing to kind of get your hands on a single board computer that was cheap enough, and for me, I learned a huge amount, and it kind of really sort of set the path on the road of what I was going to do and have been doing for the past decade. And it was, great to do these community meets. It was great to travel around, talk to people, build things, showcase things, do presentations, help encourage and teach and learn and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just, it feels like, we've passed that point now. Obviously, things like COVID, I've said this before, COVID and chip shortages and all that kind of stuff is obviously not Raspberry Pi's fault, but it's how do you deal with that? And the way they dealt with it put the backs up for a lot of us in the community, which was, well, we don't value you, we don't prioritize you, you're not industry, so you don't matter, sort of thing. And of course, others have come in to fill the void. However, what we're not seeing, or what I'm personally not seeing, is I'm not seeing this younger generation that we had 6, 7 years ago. I'm seeing people my age. I'm seeing a lot of us older. Nothing wrong with that. We are the community, and we're the ones buying, how many million of these Pi boards. But it's like, oops, Pi's absolutely everywhere at the minute. Yeah, so we're the ones building, buying and building all this stuff. But it made me think about the original computer literacy program, just going back to the UK, and how what's the word? I mean, we started with that with the BBC Micro in around 1981, let's say. Obviously, there was the Commodore and there was the ZX81 and then Spectrum, so there was other systems as well. But basically, by the time we got to 1990, it finished. It was done, more or less. Now, I know it's not a totally fair comparison, because it was a very different time, technology was different, and the BBC Micro was not a cheap machine. I understand that. But it just feels like, they got just shy of a decade out of it, and we've had about 12 years out of it, and it just feels like we're entering a very different time, I think it's fair to say. I've said to you before, my plan is to kind of carry on here indefinitely. but I will need to diversify and change how things operate and work. So yeah, not overly impressed by the news, not surprised by the news. I think it's going to be more about profits and money streams than it is community. And us as a community will need to decide what it is we want to do, where we're going to take our money, where our interests are. There will be a maker community, but I just don't think it's going to be so kind of education led or have as many young people coming in, which is a shame, really. But you know, we'll all carry on as long as we're all interested. We'll all carry on. Now, the other week I did mention, find it. Let's move that out of the way. I did mention this, which is the Youyeetoo R1. Now, this is a sponsored product, and this has come from China. It's the sister unit to the Youyeetoo X1, which is running. Where are we? Let's find the box. There we go. There we are, just about fit screen. So the X1, which is x86 PC powered, and that board, as many of you already know, is actually running this whole show right now. And it's been a fantastic board. And they sent me this, which was the Youyeetoo R1, which was their ARM Rockchip ARM based board. I have just done a video, so if you are a YouTube channel member or Patreon backer, you can actually see the review video, which will be live to everyone else in the hopefully beginning of next week. So Monday should go live. But you can see it uses the Rockchip 3588S 8-core 64-bit Cortex. But actually, it's got so it's 8 cores, 4 A76 and 4 A55 Cortex boards. And yeah, it's actually very, very well equipped. This one was the 8 gig of RAM and 64 gig of eMMC flash storage. And yeah, I've been playing with it and doing a review. This kind of isn't a review, but I have put the links to this product in the description to this video / live stream. But here it is. So here's the actual board. And they sent me this little Wi-Fi card. So it doesn't have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth on as standard. But they do this separate little card, which I think is about £8 or something like that. And it clips in, which is brilliant. And you have to put these little aerials on because there's no aerial integrated into the actual board, basically. So if you don't have the aerials, it doesn't pick anything up. And yeah, they also sent me a heatsink, which I didn't fit. Didn't actually need it, but it's like just a big heatsink rack, which would... Where are we? Can't get into that, but anyway. And they sent me one of these, which is it's an FD something I, FDGI, FD. I can't remember what it is, but oh. Let's get that one out. Yeah, it's one of these little USB programmers, basically, and it has a little, I'll just show you that. So you can switch it between 5 volt and 3 volt. So 5 volt and 3.3 volt TTL logic. So it's a TTL to USB adapter effectively. So it's quite a universal device. You can use these with Arduino for programming. And they sent me one of those, which I'm assuming does something with this, but I never quite figured out what, in all honesty. Anyway, what we can do, or we can try and do, is... if I figure out where the video lead is, so here we've got a standard full-size USB lead, is we can actually power up and we'll have a little look, if you like, see what you think. So, where are we? I'm trying to find my mouse now. I did get a mouse out for this and I've put it somewhere and I don't know what I've done with it, which is good. Oh, hang on, it's down here. So mouse, we'll just pop that in. Now, my build didn't actually come with a power supply. And the reason for that is I think they do come with power supplies, but mine didn't, because they don't do one for the British 3-pin standard, unfortunately. So there we go. Put a keyboard in as well. So basically what I've had to do is I've used a generic power brick supply, which has a barrel connector. So you need to have a correct barrel connector. Just a standard barrel connector, actually. It's nothing special. That goes in there like that. And it's 12 volts AC adapter. So it's DC output. So it's AC in and DC out. 12 volts line running at 4 amps, which is more than sufficient. Now, hopefully, with the tiniest bit of luck, which we're going to need, let's figure out what I did with the actual plug. That might help. Right. Are you ready? Let's see if this is going to power up. So it will power up. Will we get a capture on video? Fingers crossed we do. It takes a moment. And what I found that was a bit weird about this one is it doesn't do like a boot screen or what I describe as a Linux kernel or anything like that. It just sort of does nothing and then boots, and my cards are playing. Let's just try that again. Yeah, I knew I was going to have some glitches tonight. This has been my card has been a little bit, how can I put this, on the blink, I think it's fair to say. Let's just are we coming back up or not? No, we're not. Interesting. Let's just do a power cycle. We'll come back around again. Meanwhile, enjoy the colour bars, of course. We say hello to Zanza this evening. HDMI to USB dongle thing. Yes, it is. And normally it's fine. Until when you actually need to use its Nanga. And of course then it's not fine because, hey-ho, you know. Many irregulars to this channel will know the trials and tribulations that we have all gone through. I remember it started playing up with me when we were doing the initial... I was doing the initial video, so you can tell it's live, can't you? You know. Interesting, right. Hey, let me give you something else to look at while I... Single-handedly, the most annoying thing you can imagine. Right. Okay, are we there now? That's not the right one. So the board itself is, it's not an FPGA. It's a rock chip ARM CPU. As I was just explaining, and I was going to show it all tonight, and it did blooming well work earlier on as well, which is annoying. As I was just explaining, it's the Rock chip. Here it is, RK3588S. So it's an 8-core hexacore chip. And this is quite a nice board when it works. And I think it is working. It's just my display or my capture card, I think, has decided it's having other days. So that is extremely annoying considering what else I planned tonight. So I have here the emergency backup on. So let's just see. I bet you this blooming well works now. Let's just see what happens. So just bear with me a minute. So HDMI cable into there. Yeah. Let's just do a... we need to restart that a moment. The only snag is now I can only see through OBS because it's not a splitter. So let's just give that a restart. Why that other one just decides some days it wants to work and others it doesn't is just infuriating, in all honesty. So let's go back to capture card. I think we're working now, people. There we go. Okay, so yeah, that's my capture setup not being 100% happy with this card for whatever reason. But yeah, there we go. So this is the desktop for the R1. So this is the Debian Linux XFCE desktop that comes preloaded on the eMMC. If you buy the eMMC version, the things I've added Arduino IDE because I did this during the test. Now it was all in simplified Chinese, and I had to wait for some tech support from Youyeetoo in order to figure out, well, do the correct way that they suggested for switching to English. We're mostly there. When I installed things like LibreOffice as well. Now LibreOffice is always a good test of how fast something is, and as you can see, it's very fast, which these rock chip boards always are. So this is considerably faster than the Raspberry Pi because we've got multiple cores working. We've got more cores than the Raspberry Pi, more RAM than the Raspberry Pi, and we've got eMMC storage, amongst many other things. I will stress again, this is a sponsored product. I was sent this and I benefit financially as a result of talking to you about it. I wouldn't be talking to you about it if it was terrible though. So the board itself is a kind of a totally different form factor to a, if we just grab a normal Raspberry. So that's a Raspberry 3. So it gives you the idea the size is a little bit different. What's nice is with this board is you've still got things like headphone jack here, which is great. You've got multiple buttons for boot, flashing, reset, etc, etc. The GPIO pins map slightly different. They're not the same as the ones you get on a Pi. They're not even the same pitch depth actually. They're actually slightly closer together. Can you overclock it? I suppose technically you can. It's officially no, because the rock chip processors clock up and down themselves up to a maximum. I think it's like 2 point. I did have to think for that. It's like 2.4 gigahertz, I think it is. Saying that, you probably can. There's probably a way of doing a firmware flash that would allow you to overclock. It's the same as the later Raspberry Pis, because Raspberry Pi stopped you from officially overclocking. So officially no, but unofficially yes, quite possibly. But it does run fast enough, and it kind of, as I said, it clocks up or down depending on what it actually requires. So I've got two banks here of, I think these are 4 gig chips each for memory. And then this is the 30, is it 32 on this? That's what my spec was. 64, I beg your pardon. 64 gigabytes of RAM on here. So it's, I say RAM, eMMC storage, that's the RAM, 8 gig RAM, eMMC storage. So that's where the operating system is living at the moment. We also have some pinout, including, I believe this one's actually USB. So you've got a USB-C, USB 2, sorry, USB 3 and USB-C, and you've got 2 USB 2, Ethernet, the Bluetooth Wi-Fi you add with the third-party cards. This, by the way, is exactly the same card as we used in the Youyeetoo, the x86 board that's actually running this presentation right now. So the video you're seeing is being through that product, which is the previous one. It's the same module, and I think they're about £8, but you do need these funky little aerials in order to pick up Wi-Fi off the board. You also have the ribbon connectors for SATA, and there's 2 on top, and I think there's, if I remember, yes, there's 2 underneath. So you've also got a couple of other ports here. So there's quite a lot of logic. And that, by the way, is for a SATA. So you've got a SATA card that fits. So you can Wi-Fi card on top, SATA card underneath. So there's a lot of options with this board. And going back to my kind of Raspberry Pi rant, this sort of thing, now I know I'm being paid to talk about this, so it's slightly skews what I'm saying, and I appreciate that. But I was really hoping that if we could have got Raspberry Pi to do something like this, I would have paid a little bit more. I would have paid 120, even 150, if they'd done something kind of, you know, in this ballpark. But Raspberry Pi, that would have been amazing. But they haven't. They just have missed the boat completely with the Pi 5. And that's why other products like this come along. And you think, actually, if you know what you're doing and you need that extra processing power and speed, these things, you know, really do stack up. So the operating system is fine. I will wait to see, because it's still a very new product. It only came out, I don't think officially, I'm not sure if this is even officially available for the Western market yet. I know the version I got was not for the Western market. But I do think, you know, you can order them now. So they probably are now shipping, or should be shipping. Let's just go back. Yeah, so it's Debian XFCE, which is fine. I kind of like this build. It's Debian, I think it's 11 on this. And let's go to Wi-Fi sheet. I haven't quite got the sound working, admittedly, but YouTube works fine. Oh, that would be paradoxical. Should we watch ourselves watching? Yeah, this is going to create a weird paradox right now. There we go. So we... There you go. So you can watch us watching you watching, yeah. Okay, no, that's going to get too trippy. Yeah, so I mean, it works fine. It really does work fine. And we just pick another video. And you can see, you know, that runs kind of really fast, as you'd expect it to. There's no frame drop on that at all. Full screen. It's having a little bit of a wobble about how it's set up for permissions, I've noticed. So that might just be a glitch because of my OS being the sample OS. But yeah. But you can see, you know, that's totally workable. As I said in the review video for this, people usually have a sort of go at me for why don't you use proper benchmarking and stuff with your boards. And I'm sort of saying, well, the thing is, in all honesty, benchmarking doesn't necessarily mean a lot to people unless you know what the results should be or how they should, you know, expect to be. If I show things like running a YouTube video or LibreOffice, which is always notoriously slow, that gives you a better sort of gauge of how well things actually, you know, work. And I think that's probably more useful for people. It's just my opinion. That's why we've always kind of done it like that. So, and Andrew's just trying to say you've got the Orange Pi 5 Plus, and it's a fantastic. But yeah, this is the Orange Pi 5 Plus, and this Youyeetoo R1 actually share the same chip. It's the same rock chip processor, and actually a lot of the architecture of this board is nigh on identical to Orange Pi 5. Interestingly, Orange Pi are one of the only, apart from them and Raspberry Pi, are like one of the only two that have never actually sponsored anything with me. But no, my Orange Pi 800, which many of you know sits, where are we? There you go. Well, the all-in-one Pi 400 clone, which does the monitors and stuff. That machine I actually take to work with me, and I use it as a daily driver for work. LibreOffice, web browsing for mail and stuff, and then Arduino on that, and that's the superb. That's also rock chip. It's not. It's an earlier processor, so it's a hexacore. Well, this is an octa-core chip, but yeah, they are absolutely fantastic boards. Do they offer any cases? Good question. Good question. Not sure. Let's find out. Let's have a look at that quick. So we go to Youyeetoo. Do a quick search for Youyeetoo. So that's the X1, by the way. That's running that X1, which we did late last year. There's the R1 that we're talking about right now. And yeah, but the X1, absolutely beyond superb, in all honesty. And the R1, we're getting there. That's not the R1. Come on, back. That's the R1. So, product line, let's have a quick look. They do a lot of accessories. So, smart box, let's have a look. Acrylic cases. Bearing in mind the R1 is very, very new, so that's not quite. By the way, that's the Wi-Fi module card. So that's, you're looking at the prices in US dollars, but you get the gist. It is very new, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have a case for it just yet. Oh, there's an acrylic case for the X1. Oh, there we are. There is one. So that'll be, yeah, so $5.99 US dollars. So that'll be, oh, hang on. There we go. Yeah, so it's a simple acrylic laser cut case. Oh yeah, it's quite nice. Just comes with a flat pack like that. I remember the early Raspberry Pis had very similar kind of cases to that. So yeah, so that'll be about £5, and you've got to include the shipping. So yeah, if you said, let's say, I don't know, 10-15 British pounds sterling perhaps by the time you're done. But yeah. So yes, they do is the answer to that. I didn't know that, but it's always good to go and have a look. So if you want to go and have a look, by all means do. It's interesting. I said the X1. We'll go back to the product lines. The X1, which we did last year, was x86 development series. This one here, absolutely superb. Now the one I had was that one. So that was the $139.99 one. And yeah, absolutely brilliant. And that's what's sitting on my desk right now running this live stream. Full Windows 11 build. And yeah, really, really, really good board. By far the best thing I'd ever used, in all honesty. But it was x86. So it was Intel PC chip, basically. Which meant it wasn't as energy efficient as the ARM chips, which is the only slight downside, but very, very usable just as a desktop PC. It's exactly what I'm running here. So yeah, there we go. Andrew just saying the Orange Pi 5 had the full version of the chip. I think, which one is this then? No, we're the S. Not the, yeah, no, this is the S build. So, can't tell you offhand what the difference is. There is probably a major difference, but it's in the family. So this is the S build. So, yeah, and just going back to Zanzi's comment, yeah, they're not the cheapest boards. I'll openly admit that they're not the cheapest boards, but they are extremely powerful for what they are. And yeah, I mean the X1 absolutely blew me away. This, yeah, it's not. I mean, it's okay. It's all right. I mean, I'm very interested to get feedback, see what other people think, especially when you see the official review. It's not terrible by all means. It's sort of, it's. I need to play with it a bit more. I've not had the time to play with this board kind of in the way that I need to, if that makes sense. So I'm always rushing these reviews type 4, but I mean fundamentally it works fine. You know, it does do stuff very, very well. It depends what you are buying this board to do, and that's something with these single board computers. You know, it's very much up to what you're planning of doing with them, but it's certainly very interesting. I'll add it to the collection. Yeah, depends what you want to do with it, but there are others on the market, as Andrew has quite rightly pointed out. Sorry, there we are. And as yeah, a lot of them are marketing around doing Edge AI. Yeah, this is as well. Basically, we are sort of getting into a zone where the thing is with these boards, right? Is so when I'm doing them, I'm always kind of looking at them more as desktop machines. You know, we kind of review things as if they were a desktop computer. That's sometimes not a fair comparison, because a lot of these are actually designed, yes, they'll run as a desktop computer, but they're designed for industrial functions or requirements. One as being AI, machine learning, that kind of thing. So if you've got very particular needs and you kind of need a powerhouse board to do stuff, that's where these do come into their own. As opposed to things like the Raspberry Pi 5, that I kind of just wish the Pi 5 had been a bit more like the Orange Pi 5 or this R1. Just because, you know, it just fell short. You know, I would have paid over 100 if I'd just done that. Because by the time you've upgraded and bought all the power supplies and everything else you had to replace to get Pi 5 working, you've gone over 100 anyway. So, and these generally do include all the power supplies and stuff in the box. That's the only slight issue was they don't do a UK plug at the moment. So if you're in the UK on the 3-pin standard, it's, yeah, the power supplies don't work. Well, they do work. The power supply itself is actually fine, and I think I had one with a US plug on it, but they're tolerant from 110 volt US all the way up to the 240 European voltage. So yeah, so that does actually work. Just the plug end was wrong. Basically, I could have changed the plug and it would have been fine, or I could use an adapter and it would have been fine. But you know, yeah, it's just, yeah, okay. I'll use stuff with proper plugs on the end, just, you know, because basically if I went and did a video where I started shoving wrong plugs on mains and then someone electrocutes themselves, who's liable? You know what I mean? I'm just saying, so on the Orange Pi 5, someone called Joshua Reiki optimized the version of Ubuntu for the board, and what a difference it makes. I have to use travel adapters to make things fit in New Zealand. Is New Zealand like Australia where nothing's fused or earthed? Because Australia have this weird system where they don't actually seem to fuse anything in the plug. It's like, yeah, okay. But you're on the 230, 240 standard, aren't you? 50 hertz, same as us here. They do have the standard. Yeah, that like, yeah, touch that, you're dead, kind of. Yes, I remember seeing that. I was like, okay, that's good. Yeah, British plugs generally are the shape they are because they all have a fuse in. So you have the internal fuse in the power supply, and then you have. I've got. It's a bad example. Have I got a plug that will stretch? Oh, BBC Micro plug. This will stretch. Right, this is off. This is the plug off the BBC Master. Actually, right. So British plug. So positive and negative. Right, earth pin. Okay, they all have earth pins, and then you'll see here in the slot there. Sometimes it's not in a slot. Sometimes you have to take the plug apart. But if it's a solid molded unit like this, the fuse is in there. So there's a separate mains voltage fuse. I don't know if I can get. Ow. Flat screwdriver. Let's have a look. Probably going to deeply regret doing this now, but okay. Bear in mind, this is a plug from 1986, but it's get that plastic out. Right. Okay, so you actually have a mains line fuse inside. So that protects it. That protects the device from overloading and protects the cord from shorting and what have you. So you also have a fuse inside the PSU, but you then have a backup fuse here. Now, in some cases, like Raspberry Pi power transformer, this is an official Raspberry Pi power transformer, you'll notice that it just has the two pins and the earth plug's actually just plastic. There's nothing actually earthed. Now, these are still fused. I believe they're still fused. But because they're basically how they work, and the fact is they're taking a lot lower current through, you don't actually need the earth plug. So that's kind of, but this, can I even get that to click off now? There you go. Yeah, so basically all you've got is you've got the two generic pins, and then you've got the adapter. Now, basically the Youyeetoo products would have been better off with a design like this, because this is universal all the way from, there we are, you can just see it in the small print there. So we're going all the way from 100 volts, which is basically US voltage, all the way up to the 240 volts of most of the rest of the world. I think we're standardised on 230 volts now in the UK. We used to be 240, now we're 230, but it makes next to no difference. But basically, adapter clips on like that, and that adapts it for the British mains standard. So, yeah. Anyway, I better put this back in. Welcome to Plug Talk. And Andrew's saying we do have RCDs on all our circuits. RCDs, yeah, we don't. No, we don't have RCDs here. So, well, we do have a main fuse box, but I'm going to get that in now. Good ideas are now bad ideas, which was to take this apart. On today's Wi-Fi sheet, I will badly do a fuse. There we go. Right, that's gone in. Probably the first time that's been out ever since this was made in 1986. So 37 years ago, something like that. Anyway, there you go. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's where we kind of are. One thing, actually, I was going to say, which I do want to play with, and I mentioned this in the video. Let's just bear with me if I can find it. Right, is this, which is the Windows on R project. Which you might remember we did with Raspberry Pi 400. We're actually running Windows 11 natively on a Pi 400, and it worked surprisingly well. Well, the thing that piqued my interest was, if you go to how to install, they actually now have an installer guide for Rockchip boards, and there it is, the RK3588. Now, it is the straight 88, I believe. but they do have Orange Pi 5 and 5 Plus. So it is possible. Go to 5 Plus. Yeah, that board. It is. I shouldn't really be talking about unsponsored rival products here, but basically that's a list of boards that officially work with this at the moment. It's not perfect. Some stuff doesn't work properly, but there is a build of Windows now that actually works, or compiler that actually allows you to run native Windows 11 in ARM format, but it will run x86 64-bit Windows apps on your ARM dev boards. So that's something I was very interested in. Not sure the R1's going to do that straight out of the box. Might need some tweaking if it'll do it at all, but I definitely know things like the Orange Pi does. So that was something I found very, very interesting. Right, there we are. So yeah, interesting little board, and probably I don't know what else we'll do with that going forward, but yeah, not a bad device. Not the X1 though. That's what I will say. It's not the X1, but it's certainly, you know, it's not bad. I have played with bad dev boards before. Some of those early Chinese boards were abysmally bad, but they've gotten very, very good over time, to the point now they are overtaking Raspberry Pi. So that's the other, you know, back to our Raspberry Pi thing. Yes, they have the software support where these it can be lacking. Not so much with Youyeetoo, I have to say, and also Banana Pi when we did them. Their OSs are very strong, and product support is very strong as well. So it is getting better, I have to say. But yeah. And Zanzi's saying maybe some fun little AI project like run whisper voice transcript. Yeah, I mean, it's all stuff like that. We do a lot of this kind of stuff with AI at my work, actually. So that's why my interest is sort of switching from retro 8. Well, my interest is still with retro 8-bit, etc. It's not going to switch away from it. But where I'm having more interest in looking at AI now, because I'm paid at work to look at AI and do robotics. And so sort of boards like this, we start looking at it more in that kind of viewpoint rather than kind of just desktops, which is kind of what we're doing here. So but yeah, it's all right. And Arduino IDE, the ARM build runs okay. That can be slow. That's Java as well, but that actually runs fine actually. But it is a Debian system, so you'd expect it to run okay. And yeah, it's fast and responsive and usable, very, very usable. And I do like XFCE anyway. My Orange Pi behind me runs XFCE as well. So let's shut down. Max power wise, good question. Well, I'm running 4 amps through it. It's sort of, which it's happy with. Do you watts or amps? Watts. I don't know the answer to that. I have amps, which is up to 4. It likes sending 3 to 4 amps. It's 12 volts basically. 12 volts up to 4 amps, which I'm running with, which it seems perfectly happy with, in all honesty. We can just jump back to the website. Bear with me. Yeah, so that's obviously, this is just promotional material for the board. I mean, it does a lot, don't get me wrong, it does an awful lot. And there's a Android operating system for it as well. So RAM storage. So I can find that power. No, it's just giving you the amps. So it's suggesting 12 volts 3 amps. I'm running at 4 amps and it seems fine. We could convert that into watts for you. Probably not going to do that off the fly right now. But all the details are there. So the link to this, by the way, is in the description to this live stream or video, depending how you're watching. So but yeah, there we go. I would say good evening to Gertmon. Saying evening chaps. What's the script? I just got back from Glasgow. Well, the script tonight, Gertmon, is I basically chucked you under the bus before we started because I thought it was you that threw me off there and then retracted the comment. And it wasn't. It was our dear friend. Where is he? There he is, Martin, up the top. And I only saw this comment that said, "Oh, I can't see anything." And I said, "Oh gosh, right, what's going on?" And I thought it was you, and it wasn't you. It was Martin. So apologies. We've had a little chat about the Raspberry Pi, the news about them floating on the stock exchange. We're just coming to the end actually. We're just taking a brief look here at the sponsored product I've got, which is the Youyeetoo R1 ARM-based development board, but we're just running at the moment. We've just shut it down actually, so we've just been playing with that. Zanzi is just asking a question about so the wattage of the power supply. So 36. I'm gonna go. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I've got to be brutally honest with you. I honestly don't know what the wattage would be on that. So apologies for that. They don't really say that in these days, in all honesty. It's usually just hertz. I can literally do your hertz, voltage, and amps. But it will be pulling a lot less power through than its x86 equivalent because the ARM chips just run, but they use less power. That's why they use them in phones. I mean, you know that. So it will be more power efficient. If it's the most efficient board in the world, can't say that for sure. It's certainly a bit of a powerhouse, but yeah. But anyway, that is the Youyeetoo R1. There will be an official review video of that coming up very shortly on the channel. Martin, me, yeah, shush. You're all right. I feel really bad now for blaming it on poor Gertmon. It wasn't even here. I'm very sorry about that, my friend. Oh dear. Zanzi's saying, I'm looking at it thinking I'd save a lot of electricity watching YouTube or something like that. You probably would actually, yeah, in all honesty. You would, because it dynamically clocks, so it won't overclock if it's just, if it's not being pushed. So, yeah, you would actually. I couldn't give you like numbers or anything, but I can't think that you wouldn't versus x86. If it's as efficient as a phone, I don't know, in all honesty. Possibly not as efficient as either a Samsung or Apple phone, which are all ARM-based devices. Don't know. Don't know about that one. But yeah, it'd certainly be more efficient than watching on a PC. And it's going to be definitely a lot more efficient than the x86 board that's running this show. But then the x86 runs so well at running this show. That's what, it's amazing to think I have a sponsored development board that was given to me, as part of a sponsorship, sort of like a gift as part of a sponsorship deal that's actually so useful that I can run a YouTube live stream of it and have multiple cameras and everything else we do. So, yeah, anyway, there we go. So, sponsored bit over. The video, I said, will be live shortly. If you're interested, the links are in the description. Right, that's not all we're going to do tonight. I do want to look at something else, which means we will be switching over to Raspberry Pi 3. So I said at the start, if you wanted to follow along with this, get yourself a Raspberry Pi 3 or you can use 3B plus or 3A plus work fine with this, I think. You can also use 4 or 400, but you will need a blank SD card. I'm going to show you something very, very cool very shortly. Now, it's a little bit buggy, and it's not mine, but I think you're going to enjoy it, and we're going to have a look at crashing that for the rest of the evening. I need another cup of tea, so let's reconvene in 5 to 10 minutes time. So hold that thought, and we'll be right back. we're back. If anyone is still there, you know, one of these days, I reckon I'm just going to like live stream me actually making a cup of tea. So you can watch me physically make the cup of tea. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. So, kind of last little bit I want to talk about tonight. Just check a minute. Oh no, it's still there. It's good. So you might remember, was it a week, 2 weeks ago, something like that? We talked about the announcement from Retro Gamers Limited of the Atari 400 Mini system, which I know it's an all-winner ARM box, so it's just an ARM Pi type chip thing in a box shaped like a mini version of a classic system with some games. It's a Linux box, it emulates, and you play the games. I get it, but it's still kind of cool. It's nice to have a sort of thing like that. And we had a lot of fun with the C64 Mini and the C64 full size, and it's still much more fun to have on those systems. But anyway, so that's kind of brought a lot of interest with the Atari computer systems. And a little while ago, I was playing with something, because you know how much I like niche computer operating systems. And I was playing with something which I kind of want to share with you now. And we'll have a look at this right now. So, back to web browser, I'm afraid. Lots of web browsers tonight, but take a look at this. So, this is where if you want to play along, you can. But this is called BPI. And the address, which I should probably give you in the chat, that might be an idea. Let me, let's try and give you that in the chat so you stand a chance. By the way, I was longer than I thought I was going to be, so I had to let the dog out. She wants to go outside for, you know, dog reasons. Okay. There we go. So that's the website I'm looking at right now. And yeah, it's called BPI. And it's a version of the Atari ST Motorola x86 operating system that ran on a system called the Falcon, which was one of the very last Atari systems. It used GEM Desktop as its base operating system. But instead of being x86, it ran on the Motorola 68000, which was the same chip as the Macintosh and the Amiga for that matter. This is a project to create a disk image that emulates this environment and allows new users to basically run later Atari ST or Falcon based software on a Raspberry Pi for completely free. And it's pretty awesome. What's equally awesome is that it's actually all from a single person. Forget the name of the chap. He's in Spain. He basically runs this whole distribution, and it's absolutely fantastic. So this is something I will be doing a video on because I'm really up for sort of niche operating systems. And the way it works is it's a Debian Linux kernel. It's Ubuntu. It's a base Debian Linux kernel. Which runs on the Pi, and then on top of that it has a series of emulators. I haven't quite got. There's a number of layers going on here. Something called Atari Mint, not to be confused with the Mint Linux distributions. And basically, there's two versions available. There's one for x86 and one for Raspberry Pi, and basically it creates like a sandbox space to emulate the 68000 series CPU. So then everything runs, if you like, I say natively, it doesn't run natively on the ARM, it runs in this 68000 series emulator space, and that runs on top of the ARM. What's really impressive is that there's actually internet gateway access, and Wi-Fi actually works with this. So it's really kind of impressive, and one person literally manages and runs this distribution. If we go to, where is it? No, where's his downloads gone? Felipe, so I think Spain. That was up there, BPI. Right, why can't I see the distribution? Oh, here we are. News and BPI free. Here it is. And downloads for Raspberry Pi 3 or Raspberry Pi 4. I've done Raspberry Pi free. So what you need to do is you need to download that, and you'll need to use something like Etcher to flash the SD card. But it's quite simple to do. But I thought we might just spend the next half hour or so. I think we're probably going to be done by 10 o'clock tonight. But I thought let's spend the next little bit just looking at this and seeing how I can crash it. Now, disclaimer. I am absolutely 100% not an Atari ST or GEM user. I have used GEM a little bit. We've used it on the BBC Micro under x86 emulation, and we've used it on x86 on the ESP32 units, if you remember those. These from the other week as well, we played with these, which actually ran GEM in a kind of like native PC space. That was very cool. These are ESP32 powered. But for this, we'll try a Raspberry Pi 3. So this is a Raspberry Pi 3 version 1, and I've already flashed the SD card. So here's the SD card flashed. I did that earlier today. Let's just make sure that's in correct. It is. So let's plug this in. I'm going to tempt fate, and let's see if it's going to go through my capture card again and work this time, because it nearly worked. Let's go back onto my other capture card. It makes life less awkward. Makes life less awkward if it just works. So that power supply, Raspberry 3 power supply we were showing about earlier, I'm actually going to use that now to power up. So let's put that in, which is micro USB as opposed to USB-C on the later models. This for me was probably one of the last great Raspberry Pis. Because once I switched to the 4, well, you know my feelings. Those of you that, regular to this channel, I've seen my videos on this, you know my feelings about this. It just kind of like, no, don't like it anymore. And I sort of never really recovered with the Pi, which is a shame, really. But let's put a keyboard. Let's put that. Where's that mouse? Right. What do we reckon? Capture card. Should we tempt fate, see if this works? Or if the whole thing's just gone kaput on me? Oh no! We'll give it a minute. Hey! Okay, I think we're in luck now. So this is how BPi actually boots. I'm using a Pi 3 basic because I've got lots of Pi 3s hanging around at the moment. So I just want to see, could we actually utilise one for something? I'm sorry about that, Gertmon. Yeah, the advertising, I know. Unfortunately, it's one of those necessary evils, I'm afraid. Anyway, here we are. So this is actually really kind of impressive. Now, I have been playing a little bit with this, but this is basically a modern version of GEM running in a 68,000 Motorola kind of sandbox environment on top of a Linux Debian. So but yeah, now about the advert. So yes, slightly less sponsored stuff as me talking at the front of videos, but unfortunately Google placed adverts alas will have to remain, I'm afraid. I do need to bring... I know many of you are very kindly sponsoring me through YouTube channel members and also Patreon. which is obviously greatly received. I do still need to bring in some additional revenue. So, and even if I turned off all the revenue, Google would still put adverts in. So if they're still going to put adverts in regardless, I might as well take some of the revenue from that, if you know what I mean. But unfortunately, I don't have any control when it decides to kick stuff in, I'm afraid. So anyway. Yeah, so this is a modern version, a very modern version of the Gem desktop. So it's a little bit glitchy, but it's not terrible by any stretch of imagination. Certainly very usable. Applications. It does come with stuff, including that there's a basic interpreter. Now, again, I stress, I do not know what I'm doing. Okay, so, there's a program and there's an app. That's not helpful. App. Okay. Program. And there we are. There's basic. I don't know if I know this. Do I know this basic? Possibly not. Undefined. Okay. Well, can I get rid of that? Right. Run. Yeah, I probably don't really know how to. If you know how to use all this, you're probably screaming at me right now. But yeah, there's a lot of very, very cool stuff. And it is very Mac-like. You can understand why Apple sued them originally for Gem Desktop. But I just thought, obviously, with the kind of, Atari link. Where's my taskbar gone? I had a... Nope, go away. You've also got these multiple workspace areas. Something I did find kind of interesting is the clipboard. So the clipboard on a Gem system sort of can store multiple files in the clipboard space. So it's still like it's Alt C and V on this system. We've got the editor as well. Again, it's not the fastest thing in the world. Oh. Okay, bring up a new text window. But yeah, it's okay. It's a bit of fun to play with. The reason I'm playing with this is, one, I'm just curiously interested in it. I mean, I'm not a legacy user of any of the Atari stuff, so it's completely new to me. But I am very interested in this. The fact it's free, the fact it does work so well, and it's so easy to set up. And also, it's a good example of what RISC-OS should have been doing, or should have done by now. The issue with RISC-OS is, although it does technically run natively on the Pi, it will never run on the Pi 5, or anything above the Pi 5, or any other alternative systems other than the Pi and a couple of very select boards. Where if they'd built an emulation layer, this thing, for example, can port onto anything and run, because it will just run native Linux and then it runs its emulator on top. So it's a very, very clever way of doing it, and it's you don't feel like you're running an emulator, in all honesty. I do have to get used to the idea about the X's are there and not over the other side. Dismiss, there we go. I just right click. You got this sort of start menu thing, which is interesting, and I like the little Atari logo in the bottom corner. If we go to, they've also got things called Atari Works. They've got a database, spreadsheet, but that's got a word processor as well. New, there we are. It's very old school black and white, early Atari ST. font's a little bit glitchy, actually, but yeah, I mean it works. Abandon. It does have such a Mac feel to it, though, doesn't it? That's the Terra desktop client that we're running. Again, this is all very, very new to me, so you can't open the trash can, but the fact there's a trash can on the desktop, you know. So we've got almost sort of Windows 95 going on down here. We've got Mac up the top going on here. We've got a desktop that's very reminiscent of Mac. But yeah, it's really interesting. So I would encourage you to go and have a look at the website, and if you want to have a play of it, do. One thing I will do is I haven't configured the Wi-Fi on this. It's impressive it even does Wi-Fi. That's something RISC-OS just doesn't do, and that's why projects like this really show up the poor, you know, community work on RISC-OS to not even get basic stuff like Wi-Fi working. So if I just put in, I'm not running Wi-Fi on this, but it could do it, but I'll just put a Ethernet lead in. And let's just go back to, where are we? Right. Yes, I think it is also stuck to this 4:3 aspect ratio. We've done the first crash. Yep. So if you plug your internet in, it locks up. And you can do like a Control-Alt-Delete, or you can go Alt-GR F12, which brings up this screen, so we're not completely crashed, and we need to reboot because we've crashed. It is a little glitchy, I'll give you that. So I don't think you'll be using this as your daily driver. It should be capable of running Atari SD games. So those are ports that are very similar to the Amiga in kind of quality, sort of 16-bit era type ports. And I think we've totally fallen over now. So let's do a power cycle. I'll come back on. I was able to crash it multiple times earlier today playing with it, so are you alive or have I killed you? Oh no, we're alive. But you could totally build a you know, an Atari based hobby computer based on a Pi. This would actually run on x86. It would probably run very well on x86 actually. So this is EMU TOS, which is what it uses, and then you get this vintage screen, and it has this kernel which loads up. Again, I am not an expert in any of this. That's very, very new to me. I was not a legacy user back in the day. So, but it's just extremely interesting to look at, and crash multiple times over. There we go. Right. So it's brought up the correct date and time down here. Doesn't appear to do anything. Okay. Don't like the way it sort of disappears. I'm like, well, where have you just gone? Oh, there you are. Okay. You can break up a terminal. He says a terminal can be brought up. Possibly. Or maybe not. Right. Anyway, okay. So there is a version of NetSurf. This is something it shares in common with RiskOS. NetSurf was still the main browser, believe it or not, on RiskOS. And I mean, it sort of works. You're not going to load YouTube with this though. Chicken cam. There's the old. You know, I was talking earlier in the stream about the first series of 8 till 8. Well, that's actually the Twitch TV channel for it. But I haven't streamed anything since 2019, I think. So, and I probably need to close that channel because I don't think we'll be doing anything more with Twitch at the moment. Wi-Fi Sheep DM, there is a Daily Motion channel, which a lot of people don't know about. Patreon that you know about, Instagram you know about, Facebook, Twitter, Ident Online. This site, this is my Ident Online site for Wi-Fi Sheep. That doesn't work that well with this browser, in all honesty. So this is when you go to, well, you can't go to ident-online.co.uk. Or you can just go to wifisheep.co.uk. But it really doesn't work. It very glitchy, as you can see. It's not particularly happy. It's sort of got some sort of layering issue or something, which it just doesn't like, which is annoying. As you can see, most of the site is behind that. But yeah, I keep trying to go the wrong way for. Yeah. Let's have a look at. So we've got system, which does look very Unix Linuxy. So I don't know if that's just a gateway straight through to the core system. It could well be actually. Let's go to home directory. There's some videos which crashed earlier. Pictures, documents, developments, music, network, applications. What have we got on floppy? Got some floppy images. Some ST floppy images. Blanks. Really know what those do. Proceed. You can boot okay, yeah, so this is another thing it can do, is it can actually run very classic, these are very early I knew there was a way of doing this. So this is classic Atari ST, which is more similar to the gem that I'm kind of more used to using. Oh, we have got a bit of sound as well. I don't know what else one would do at this point, but that's A drive. What's that do? That close, that closes. Disk H. And disk M. Interestingly, this allows you to actually put USB sticks in. So you can actually read and transfer data. It does actually read drives via Linux, it mounts them, allowing the emulator to see them. So it's, this has all been very well thought out. As I've said I don't know what I'm doing. I'm literally just clicking, but so this would probably give you very good compatibility, I'd imagine. What does that do? I don't know what that does. Cold boot dot program. I'm getting lost now in a sort of filing system world of, okay, I don't know what we've just done, if anything. But this is very much similar. This is the kind of gem desktop that I think a lot of us would actually remember. Complete with its hideously low resolution and big thick border. Literally what they used to call a poor man's Macintosh. Oh, it broke. I don't know why it broke. Assuming the emulator layer is still underneath, it is, there we are. So, and you can set up all sorts of things, including keyboard layouts, joysticks, floppy disks, CPUs, system. You can actually tell it what machine you're running in, anything from an ST all the way up to a Falcon. It's all there. Memory dumps, workstations, etc., etc. So there's an awful lot in this. Again, I just keep playing with it and crashing it every 2 seconds, which is typical me for doing. And this is Hatari, which is the emulator itself. January the 8th, 2024. So it's the very, very new version. Very new version. And yeah. Can we like restart machine or something? Or are we now stuck in this mode? I think we're stuck. Oh, there's a lot to figure out. There's a lot to figure out, but oh yeah, shut down. There seems to be sort of multiple boot states and operating systems going on. I'm not quite following what does what, in all honesty. There we are. And there's a sort of modern version, if you like. But yeah, definitely worth a play. Don't know how useful it is, but if it's able to run, retro software, so we get like Doom and Lemmings and things running on this, that'd be kind of cool. And then you could build a really cool little Atari-based system. And I think with the 400 coming out, this would make a very good counterpart project, if you know what I mean. Especially be able to run ST-type software. So yeah, that's definitely something that we will continue to look at. I just wonder, actually, should we? I'm just thinking. Let's. I'll just shut this down. Actually, I better show you what I'm doing. Actually, so let's just do that again. So a sort of Windows 95 type thing down here, and we go shut down. And we go halt system, and we go proceed, and this should do a proper shutdown, and it does. So I'll just power off. Okay, excellent. Now, this obviously would run better on a 4, I reckon, but this is the original 3. What I've got in here is, this was the sort of half upgrade to the 3, the 3B Plus, which I've just put a heatsink on. So what I'm wondering, it's just an experiment, I just want to see how well this would actually run. We literally just swapped over, and there we go, pop you in there. Right, should we see what that does? Powering back up. Back to video capture. Let's have a look. I just want to see if it's any faster. It should be a little bit faster on this. I think it is a little bit faster. Feels faster. Interesting. And net surf. Yeah, a little bit faster. I love how NetSurf has got the old Netscape logo icon. Probably still going to be extremely glitchy if we try. Apologies, not sure what happened there. I hit the wrong key. Apologies. Let's just, and there's a motorbike for good measure. Right, let's try this. So I mean, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's certainly, this is not going to work, by the way. You can kind of tell that YouTube's struggling, so we'll reject everything. So bad YouTube even breaks. Nah, not having it. Doesn't like it. Error 403. So yeah, probably better off, if you can, better off the minimum spec being a Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, which is a shame. I mean, it works okay on the 3, but it's not amazing. It's a shame because I've just happened to have quite a lot of these free boards lying around, so it's a bit like, okay. But yeah, that seems to work all right. So yeah, this is something we're definitely going to be sort of playing with a little bit. I think it'd be really cool to put like an Atari sort of cloney type thing that ran this, and if I could actually understand how the OS works, and who knows, might even actually get some sort of classic games running. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, so that's something we've got coming up. So next week, all being well, I should have the ZX81 parts. Oh, I did find, I forgot to grab it. I did find I got a book on ZX81, and thanks by the way to Gertmon, who did send me some information and pages from another book. But I do actually have a book which I forgot I had, and I picked the book up. It was in a sale. It was at the National Computer Museum at Bletchley Park, and I made a donation of £1 or something for it, and I picked up this book on the ZX81. So I do have like a book, work type book on the ZX81, how to use it. So hopefully next week we'll get back to that. A few things I want to do in the machine, even if I haven't got the case ready. we'll just run the board again, and I want to see if we can load some tape stuff. So that's definitely on the cards next week. Busy week for me, lots happening in work-wise. The next video you should see live on Wi-Fi Sheep, or I say live, next video going up on Wi-Fi Sheep will be the R1 video, the official R1 review video, and that will be followed by an extracted version of our previous week's live stream where we're working on the ZX81, and I will compile that into a video, so that will be the second going up on the channel. And then I'm probably going to do some BPI stuff, so get this Atari stuff working. And next month, March, that is 2024, I am very much looking forward to getting the Atari 800, Atari 400 Mini. We'll have a good play with that and sort of see what it's like. It's going to have its limitations. It's a toy games box, effectively, but I'm still looking forward to it. Oh, by the way, you will need to, if you're following me for Project Rio, you're going to need to grab yourself a Pi 3B Plus or 3A Plus. Basically, we're going to be doing another video with that shortly. I need to get back to the project, and we're going to be doing a bit of dual boot setup for Project Rio. So that's being able to switch between a Linux desktop and the sorry, Michael just dropped in on the chat. Good to see you, by the way. Yeah, so basically I'm going to be doing that. We're going to be doing some dual booting between the terminal that we use for Project Rio, Tiny Basic Color, and being able to switch that to run a native Pi Linux distribution. So that will be coming up as well. So plenty to do. And by the way, Michael, thanks so much for joining. I didn't realise you were there, but thanks for the entertainment. Well, I hope that was remotely entertaining. It seemed to consist of me drinking tea and not knowing what I'm talking about. But that's a normal Wi-Fi Sheep video. That's what I do normally on this channel. But no, this one is new for me. But I am looking forward to sort of playing a bit more BPI. And I do encourage you to go and have a look at it yourself. So it's, yeah, well worth it. So we'll see where we get to. We've also got to build Gertmon's... oh, it's gone. Hang on. He sent me the boards for it, and I've forgotten. Kim Won. But Gertmon kindly sent me some PCBs for. Love the clicking around. Well, that's all I can do with this because I don't know how it works. It's like I don't know what I'm doing, so it's like doing it. No. You'd be the same. I'm just interested enough. I want to play with it, but yeah, no, hopefully we want to be doing a Kim 1 replica build using PCBs sent to me by Gertmon. That's on the cards. Yeah, they've got a few projects now, and now that obviously my sponsor arrangements have changed with the channel, I really do want to sort of press on with some of this stuff that's been sitting on the sidelines for a little while now. Well, the time, by the way, is correct. So it has just gone 22:01 hours GMT. I think there, gentlemen and ladies, or whoever else is watching, I'm going to call it a night. So thank you once again so much for your company. We'll do this all again at the same time next week from 2000 hours GMT right here on youtube.com/Wi-Fi Sheep. Thank you once again all for your company and chat conversations tonight. Really enjoyable. And yeah, let's see where we are this time next week. Until then, thanks so much for your company, and may I wish you a very peaceful night. Good night.